And this is what Lily had on, a collar very similar, or Hope had on, very similar to this. I think they may have gotten one that was a little smaller. We never did see her with her collar on. We saw her before they collared her. But this is what the cub collar looks like. And if we have females in the litter, and Dr. Rogers wants me to collar, the way I get them to trust me, when we're out in the woods, or if the mother and the cubs are with me, I just sit on the ground and let them get used to me, hear my voice. I talk very soft to them. I always have some food in my hand if they do come to me. It doesn't happen the first time they come in or the first time we see them. It takes time and patience with the little ones. I will put it on the ground, let them smell it, let them paw it around, and I will keep it open so I can pull it up around their neck, just for them to get used to it, until I finally can put the collar and actually put the little nuts on it. And they paw at it. You almost hate to put it on a yearling because they don't like it. They have to get used to it. But our bigger bears, I really don't have much of a problem. They might back away from me when I'm putting it on. I might get one nut on and they'll take off on me, and it might come off, and then Glenn gets to go out and look for it. But it isn't too often that happens. We do have one bear, Shannon, who does go without a collar most of the time because she has such a thick neck. I put that collar on as tight as I possibly can, and he's out looking for it. Well, this past summer, I decided I am going to keep that collar on you, and I put it on just really tight. She walked away from me and she sat down and she worked on it. And I said, "You're not going to do it." Sure enough, she got the collar off. There's just no way we can keep a collar on her. I do worry about her during hunting season, so you know what I do? I have two bears that don't have collar. Annie doesn't always have a collar either. I take orange spray paint. Now, no hunter is going to want to hide with her fur coat, so I put orange spray paint on her head and around her ears.
Maybe that's what we need to do.
No,
that's what suggested.
And it does come off, so every time they come, especially if it's raining or wet, it will come off when they're, walking through the woods. So I just, especially their ears. Annie, I mean, people laugh if they see her.
Bear with orange ears.
Her ears are just covered with orange paint and her head. In fact, I think there's a picture here I have of her with the orange on it. And that's what I do to Shannon and try to protect them the best I can. But we do feed better than the bait stations, thanks to Dr. Rogers getting the nuts, mixed nuts and things for us. And we try to feed as good as we can and keep them with us instead of roaming into the bait stations. And Glenn and I have not lost any to hunters, but we have lost cubs to being killed on the highway. We've lost a total of 5. And it's traumatic. It's hard on the mother. I was telling Jan here earlier how Annie had come in. We hadn't had any females born for several years, and she happened to have 3 cubs that first year. She had 2 females and a male, and we were really, everyone was excited. We finally had 2 females. Well, it was just before hibernation. We got a call from Sue. She says, "Nancy, I just got a report that there's been bears hit by your driveway." Well, I knew when she told me which, she said they were cubs. I figured it was Annie's cubs. And I have a hard time talking about it. I have to finish. Because it is very traumatic to lose them after we've been with them so long.
We lost 4 right at the top of our driveway and 1 about a mile away. And it is traumatic, and but it's life, we have to go on. And but we talk about the bears and how you just have to be calm, collected, patient. And we had one that was a little yearling, came in a number of years ago. A male. anyway, he came in motherless for his first year, Toby, and didn't know what to do. He'd come in and he'd see us and he'd run. Little by little, we'd start putting food out. And make a long story short now, all of a sudden, he's what, 6 years old, 7 years old, about that big, as gentle as can be. He just comes in and waits for us to come out with food. We've watched the mothers discipline the cubs. If they don't listen, she'll talk to them. If they don't move, she'll go over there and grab them by the back of the neck, drag them, or grab them by the ear. I've got some beautiful videos of Mom doing that. Another time, Mom and 2 cubs were at the feeder, and she starts talking, and she walked down, and one of the little guys thought, hey, food is too good, I'm going to stay here and eat a while. So I kept eating, and pretty soon Mom would start talking and start walking back, and the little guy looked down and thought, oh, here comes Mom, I better get down there. So he starts walking by. As soon as he got by her, she went whack. That little guy must have flown 4 feet in the air. Well, what I call, that means you come. And protective, we have some of the yearlings after the breakup. We've had stray bears come in when we've had a yearling there with us, and the little yearlings will lean right up against us, like, you know, who's this guy, you know?
Yeah, like a shy toddler.
Looking for help, you know, protection. I mean, these bears are wonderful.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They really are wonderful. We feel very blessed to be able to be working with Dr. Rogers and the bears. They are a wonderful animal. They aren't that vicious animal that we've been taught about. They are so calm when we're with them. And we realize they are wild bears. We have to be on our guard too, but you know, you forget about that. And but we are always together when we're with our bears. And I have never been bitten. I have never been pawed or clawed or anything when I'm working as close as I work with them, putting on collars.
However.
He always tells
I always have to remind her about one time.
it was Dot's first litter, and of course we wanted they were both females, so we collared both of them. And little True Heart, she had a beautiful white heart on her chest. She just didn't want to keep her collar off. As she got heavier, it'd come off, and I'd put it on, and pretty soon she'd come back and she wouldn't have it on. Well, it was right before hunting season, hibernation, and we definitely wanted to know where she was going to hibernate. And I was determined that night, and I really was hanging on, and I was trying to get it all fixed, and she stood up, and she put both paws right here, and she just pushed me backwards. And she didn't do anything other than that. I fell backwards, and she went collarless. And I told Lynn, I said, Lynn, I just can't get the collar. He says, Nancy, don't worry about it. He says, she'll hibernate. She'll be back to you in the spring, and we'll put the collar on. Well, unfortunately, she never returned. We figured she probably got shot.
Well, we kind of think we know who did it too. People came up from the cities behind us.
But we can't prove it or anything, you know, so she just didn't return. But Cinder did. She returned to us, and unfortunately, she was hit by a car that year, so we lost both Dots, her first offspring. We do have Cookie, who is the only surviving female of Dot's, 4 or 5 years now. And Cookie lives up on the Echo Trail most of the summer, so she's quite a ways from us. But the territory that we actually do the study in is between Tower and Ely. It's probably with 25, 27 mile territory that we divide it up. Lynn and Sue take 1/2, and we take the half toward Ely. Cookie does go up on the Echo Trail, and she had 1 cub 2 years or 3 years ago. And he grew quite big. She took care of him all summer. We were up there all the time, bringing food out and checking on her, tracking her. The 1st of August, we ended up calling him Lone Star. She brought Lone Star to us and sent him up a tree. And that was the last that she had anything to do with that little cub. She had decided you take care of him. I've had enough of him. So she would come in to eat. She always comes back to us the 1st of August, and she stays with us usually into October, and then she goes and hibernates. But she would chase him back up the tree, or chase him in the woods if he was down. But if he was up in the tree, I would sit at the base of the tree with food. I put food out and I'd back away, and we finally got him to come down to eat. And he spent 2 months with us.
How old was he?
He was just 9 months
Okay.
then.
Wow,
So kind of
that's
like
early.
Hope,
But he, pardon?
kind of like Hope, the situation.
Yes, it was the
Okay.
same situation, but I want to tell you,
Okay.
he was old enough to survive on his own. He had learned how to eat, what he was
Cookie had
supposed to
taught
eat.
him enough.
Cookie had
Yeah.
taught him
Okay.
enough. Where Hope was just too tiny.
Yep.
She would have never survived if it wasn't for being
Supplement.
Right.
taken care of by Lynn and Sue. But we were hoping that he would stay close to us so we could check on him during the wintertime. Well, he didn't make a den, and I did get a collar on him. I gained his trust, and he would come and sit next to me. He didn't have any siblings to play with. He didn't have a mom, so I would take a stick or I'd take a tennis ball and I would play with him. So he had some interaction. Well, when he got bigger, he decided that I was game too. So I had to really be careful with him because he did. A bear's going to play rough with you. And but he did hibernate. We thought, oh good, he's going to stay there. Well, he'd only hibernated a few days, and we never go to bed without knowing where our bears are. Even if we have to get in the car and go find out where are they tonight before we go to bed. He was leaving us. Well, we could hear his signal going away, and in the morning, when we tracked him, he had gone back to the Echo Trail. In this 14 miles from us, he learned how to go. If you remember the trail, he hibernated. He made himself a den. We had a collar on him. Lynn went out to him, we went out to him. In the spring, we took the collar off because the males will not come back to not always, come back to their mother's territory. So we just hope that Lone Star is still roaming around up on the Echo Trail. We haven't seen him
But he would
since.
just follow me around the yard like a little puppy dog. I was building a shed that year, hammering, sawing, the skill saw and everything. Didn't bother me, just, if we didn't know where he was, I'd just go out and start whistling or singing or humming, and down he'd come from a tree or wherever he'd be, he'd come in the yard. It didn't bother him at all. And it just,
Yeah, Glenn, you had told, not a story, but a fact thing about a hunter up at the beer center on Saturday that you came in contact with, and you had a, could you share that with the group
we,
again?
You mean the guy, the hunting guy?
yeah.
Well, the guy that calls you every